Greetings and salutations, YouTube family and friends. T-Rav Vlogs here. What's up, guys? So a friend of mine from my college days, Peter, asked me how the events of 2020 have changed me. And in looking at that particular request, it made me do a little bit of reflecting. Had it changed me? And if so, in what capacity? And was it for the good, or was it for the bad? Well, Peter, I would like to analyze that question today a little bit and hopefully give you a satisfactory answer. So, do I believe that the events of 2020 changed me? Absolutely. There's no question about it. 2020 started off as a pretty normal year. Went to Florida with my buddy Lou. We went to AGDQ, helped raise money for charity, and it seemed like it was going to be the best year ever. Starting off on a high note, everything was going well. And then a few months later, all heck breaks loose. Stay-at-home orders, quarantines, lockdowns, all of these words that usually weren't in our vocabulary were now being said on the regular. And they were all words that we were going to have to get used to. I know one of the first things that changed so rapidly in my life was my work schedule. We had to set up a system where the staff was broken up in half, and one half of the staff would work certain days, and then the other half of the staff would work the other days, and there would be alternation to avoid cross-contamination. And the store hours were changed so that we were all working open to close shifts. And that got pretty tiring pretty quickly. The hours themselves weren't too terrible, at least in the beginning, but it was the fact that people were panic buying. Everybody was scared. We didn't know what was going on. So the quality of people we had coming into the store hit differently, if you will. You had some people who were okay with the types of regulations that we had to come up with. You had other people who weren't so agreeable and were constantly making a scene and lashing out. And it became mentally grating, to say the least. I had only really dealt with that change for a couple of months before I was called away to deal with a more serious matter. Some personal issues had come up that required my attention pretty much full time, so I had to step away from the work scene to go take care of that while everything else was still continuing to fall apart, essentially, in society. So I had stepped away from that change to a completely different one. And by the time my 3-month leave had ended and I was able to return to work, things were kind of starting to return to normal on the work side of things. The schedule was returning more to normal. People's moods were kind of settling. They still really haven't gotten completely back there yet, but, change does sometimes have to occur slowly as well as it does have to occur quickly. So the hours are still somewhat changed. I think we close an hour earlier than we used to, but for the most part, normalcy has returned on the work side of things, but life still hasn't quite gotten there just yet. Another big change that I wasn't aware of until it started happening was the state of conventions. Now, the last convention that I had gone to was Anime Senpai 2019, and while I had a pretty good time there, the experience there wasn't exactly my ideal scenario, let's just say. There were things that could have gone better, for sure. And the end of it kind of did sort of leave a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth, but I thought, no big deal, right? There will be other conventions. The next convention will be awesome. Until there was no next convention. And that hurt. That really did hurt. I was expecting to go to Gateway Fur Meet right as the stay-at-home orders started to be issued. So it had gone from the convention sending out a statement at the end of February saying, don't worry, we're not going to cancel, everything's going to be fine, all of the things happening are in another county right now, it's not going to affect us, it's not going to affect the area that we're in, so everything's good. And then 3 weeks later, they had to make the official announcement, we are going to have to cancel because restrictions are saying we can't have gatherings, so there cannot be a convention this year. And many, many other conventions had to follow suit. So that was the end of the convention scene, at least for the immediate future. Now, there are conventions that are still running or had been running, and ones that are starting up again here in the near future. Personally, I'm not so sure that I'm ready to jump headfirst back into the convention scene just yet. I do kind of want to wait for things to settle down just a little bit more before I get back into there, but I do look forward to finally returning to the convention scene and getting back to that so I can take you guys with me and share all of those wonderful experiences. Another thing that changed was the capacity of public spaces. As I was mentioning, all the restrictions that were happening, we couldn't go places that we normally got to go. We couldn't go out and have these little fun adventures that I used to be able to take you guys along with, and that was hard to deal with as well because I had taken a lot of that stuff for granted. All these conventions, going out and doing things, having all this fun, it was just normal life, right? It was part of life, and that's how things were. And then the events of 2020 came along and made me put into perspective that all of these fun things I was doing, I needed to cherish, because you just never know when another chance to do that won't happen. I don't remember the exact quote, but in the movie The Sandlot, the narrator says something along the lines of, and I'm going to have to paraphrase here, so forgive me because I don't know the exact quote, "There will come a time when a group of friends will get together for the last time, and none of them will know it." So it's basically saying all these friends are getting together, but they don't realize that there's not going to be a next time that all of the friends will get together. Life will happen, something will occur, and that cohesive unit will no longer be the same. And as depressing as that sounds, it's something that we kind of have to live with, really. Things may never be exactly the same as they were. We can try to get them as close as possible, but at this point, we just don't know. So we have to take what we get in the here and now and cherish it, because next time is not really guaranteed. So needless to say, I have definitely come to take all of my little fun outings and goings on to heart and keep them with me constantly. The last video that I shared with you guys where we got dressed up as the Turks and went out and had our little picnic, that was one of the most therapeutic things I had gone through in a while. I really needed that, and thank you to Bob and Brandy for going along with me on that. That was a bit of fun that I really needed to have, and I am still hanging on to that because I know that was something that I really missed doing, and I finally got to do it again, and I look forward to doing it again in the future. But in the event that it doesn't happen immediately, I still know that I got to do it and I had a fun time doing it. So eventually, when things do start taking off once again and we do start going places and hitting conventions and other places to eat and whatever else, I'm going to take each one of those individual outings and those individual instances, and I'm going to cherish them dearly, because you never know when something's going to come along and say, you can't do that anymore. So, Peter, I hope that was able to answer your question to your satisfaction. Yes, the events of 2020 did change me greatly. I still don't think I've fully recovered mentally from everything. I find that myself, as with a lot of people in 2020, find themselves kind of in a worse off mindset. You know, I wouldn't say it's quite a toxic mindset, but it certainly isn't completely healthy. But a lot of people are going through that. So if you all are one of those people who aren't really adjusting very well to everything that's happened, hang in there, because we're all going through this together, and together we are going to get through it. So maybe I need to tell myself this too, but hang in there, because it's going to be all right again. So we can fight through this mindset, get back to the way things were, or at least as close as possible, and things will be all right. So yeah, things did change, but we just have to roll with the changes and cherish every little piece of fun that we get to have. And when things start happening regularly again, don't let your guard down. Still hang on to that, because you really just never know. So what do you guys think? Did 2020 change you for the better, for the worse? Did you change at all? Did you take up any hobbies from all the time that you got to spend at home not going places? Did you still find some way to have some normalcy in your life? Did you still do some of the things that you were doing beforehand, but just in a different way? Let me know in the comments below. I'm sure Peter would love to hear how you guys had some changes going through in your lives through 2020 as well, because I'm pretty sure that almost everybody has had to change their way of life in some way, shape, or form. So I don't think very many of us got out of 2020 unscathed. 2021 didn't start off all the greatest, but hopefully we shall get there. Each day, good things are happening. Bad things are too, but let's focus on the good for now. There's been a lot of bad happening in the world, so let's just try to focus on some good for a while. I like to keep things positive on my channel. I'm sorry if this video was a bit of a downer, but I felt it was an interesting discussion to have, so thank you guys for bearing with me and for humoring me on this. Again, let me know if there are any changes happened with you guys in 2020, and we'll get back to our usual upbeat, happy videos here, hopefully pretty soon. So, for now, that's really all I have to say about it. So until next time, I'll talk to you soon, and take care. Bye-bye.